Of the Hindu newspaper dated February 21st, 2023. In this video, we are going to talk about two important newspaper articles which are going to be very important, very significant for the civil services examination. So let's start this video with the first important newspaper article. Now this particular newspaper article talks about the energy conservation, right? So this particular article becomes important for the GS paper 3, that is conservation, environmental pollution and degradation, environmental impact assessment, right? So let's first understand the context of it and then we will define it in detail. So after passing of the energy conservation bill last December, the center is now in the final stages of notifying an emissions trading scheme ETS that will require polluting industries to achieve certain standards of energy efficiency and permit them to trade these improvements. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to reduce the carbon emissions, and at the same time we are going to make the emissions trading much suitable, or the carbon trading much suitable for the industries, right? And this is in line with the energy conservation amendment bill which was passed in the December, which will now become an act in the further session, right? So now the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, which is basically a power ministry body, would be the nodal coordinator of the scheme. That is, they will implement this particular scheme. Now the sectors such as aluminium, cement, fertilizer would be given energy efficiency targets, and the companies that were able to exceed these targets would get credits or certificates that could bank or sell to companies that failed to meet the targets. For example, if company 1 company once achieved its carbon or the emission targets, or it reduced the emissions from their industry, then these particular certificate, they can issue certificates to another company, that is company number 2. Now this particular company, if it produces more carbon emissions, they do not have to worry. They can take the carbon credits from the company 1 which has already achieved this carbon emissions target, right? So now the emissions trading schemes, as they are called, are deployed in the European Union and Korea, but they are a little different. There are certain tweaks which we have made because India is not compliant to the UNFCCC standards, and that is why this particular scheme of emissions trading scheme is a little bit different from these countries such as European Union and Korea. Now since 2015, the BEE, that is Bureau of Energy Efficiency, has been running the Perform Achieve Trade scheme. This is a little bit different from the scheme which is going to happen, that is ETS. Now under this particular scheme, that is Perform Achieve Trade scheme, which has been operational since 2015, 1078 industries spanning 13 sectors have been getting energy security certificates if they exceeded certain targets. Now while this particular scheme, that is ETS, is similar in principle to the Perform Achieve Target or PAT scheme, the credits generated under the forthcoming mechanism will force companies to invest substantially more in deploying alternative cleaner sources of energy to meet efficiency norms, as they will likely have to meet a higher bar for the emissions reductions. Basically what happened under the PAT scheme, in the PAT scheme, if you exceeded this particular targets, then also it was fine, but now you have to maintain those standards, and if you exceed those particular emission targets, then you have to get those carbon credits from the other firms or the other companies, right? So this is the basic difference between the PAT scheme and the ETS scheme. Now India has committed to installing facilities to generate nearly 500 gigawatt of electricity from non-fossil fuels by 2030, and this will cost at least 2.4 trillion rupees according to an estimate from the Central Electricity Authority. And the schemes like this, that is ETS, that is emissions trading scheme, are in line with this particular aim of generating nearly 500 gigawatt electricity from non-fossil sources, right? So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article. Let's now head to the next important newspaper article. Now this particular newspaper article comes directly from Israel, where there are some of the judicial changes. Now there are some of the concerns regarding it, and that is why there are going on nationwide protest. We'll discuss about it and what kind of effect it is going to have on the policies and politics of this particular country, right? And this is also important for the GS paper 2, that is international relations. Let's first understand the context of it and then we will further describe it. Now, Israel's government on Monday was pressing ahead with contentious plan to overhaul the country's legal system despite mass protest. Alright, so now thousands of demonstrators gathered outside Israel's parliament, or Israel's parliament is basically known as Knesset, for a second straight week to rally against the plan as lawmakers prepare to hold an initial vote. Now this particular vote is to overhaul the judiciary in the country. Now this becomes troublesome because Mr. Netanyahu, there are some of the corruption charges against Mr. Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu. Against him, there are some of the allegations of corruption, and this particular overhaul in the judiciary basically concentrates more power in the hands of the prime ministers. So critics say it will concentrate power in the hands of the prime minister, and that is why these kinds of protests are going on. And on the other hand, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his allies say the plan is meant to fix a system that has given the courts and government legal advisor too much say in how legislation is crafted and decisions are made. So this is the basic contention going on between the government of Israel and the people of Israel, right? So this is it regarding this particular newspaper. Now this particular kind of newspaper article will have implications on the policies and politics of India as well in this particular region, and that is why understanding these kind of newspaper articles becomes very, very important for us. So this is it regarding this particular newspaper article, and this is it for the day. Thank you from my side. Do like and share the video and subscribe to this channel. Have a good day. Bye.